So boys and girls, in lesson 2.8, we are going to adjust quotients. And adjust just means to change our quotient. That means that we can adjust it to go high or we can adjust it to go low. So our essential question says, how can you adjust the quotient if your estimate is too high or too low? So we're going to connect here, boys and girls. When you estimate to decide where to place the first digit in the quotient, like we practiced at the beginning of this chapter, you can also try using the first digit of your estimate to find the first digit of your quotient. So sometimes you'll find that your estimate is either too low or too high. So we have both of these cases here. In our first example, we have 3,382 divided by 48, which we estimated to be 3,000 divided by 5, which is equal to 60. So we're going to try 6 tens and place that in our tens place in our quotient. So notice here, boys and girls, it says 48 times 6 is 288. So if our estimate is too low, the difference will be greater than the divisor. So if you see here, boys and girls, the difference after we subtracted, that is 50 is actually larger than 48. So since our estimate is too low, what we can do is we can try to increase the number in our quotient by 1. So instead of using 7 groups, what we should have used is, instead of using 6 groups, we should have used 7 groups. So that might help us out. So now, boys and girls, in this second example here, we have 456 divided by 65, which we estimated to be 490 divided by 7 is equal to 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to place 7 ones in the first, in our quotient. So it says 7 times 65 is equal to 455. So now, boys and girls, notice, if the estimate is too high, the product with the first digit will be too large and cannot be subtracted. So now we see, is 455 larger than 453? Yes. So because that's the case, the estimate is too high, and what we can do is we can decrease the number in the quotient. So instead of using 7, we're going to bump down and use 6. So boys and girls, we are going to do our unlock the problem. A new music group makes 6,127 copies of its first CD. The group sells 75 copies of the CD at each of its shows. How many shows does it take for the group to sell all the CDs? So what we're going to do is we are going to divide 6,127 divided by 5, and we're going to estimate that to 6,300, or 6,300 divided by 7 is equal to 90. Now, boys and girls, just notice the basic division fact that was in there was 63 divided by 7 is equal to 90, and we just use a compatible larger number to help us get there. So in step 1, it said to estimate. We're going to try 90 or 9 tenths. So what we have to say to ourselves, is the estimate too high, too low, or correct? First, we have to divide and check it. So boys and girls, what we're going to do is we're going to try that 9 tens. So when we have 9 times 75, we get 675. And we notice, our estimate is too high because we can't subtract 675 from 612. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit lower. So instead of 9, we're going to use 8. So we notice that our estimate was too high, so in that case we bumped down to 8. We adjusted the number that we needed in the quotient. At first we picked 9, but we saw that it was too high, but now we're going to pick 8. 8 times 75 would give us 600. We do 2 minus 0 is 2. 1 minus 0 is 1, and then we regroup our 7, and we have 127. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, we know that we can make that into one group. 1 times 75 is 75. We subtract 7 minus 5 is 2, and 12 minus 7 is 5. So boys and girls, we know that our 52 is smaller than our divisor. So 52 must be our remainder. So our quotient is 81, remainder 52. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here and we're going to adjust the number in the quotient if needed. We did do that part already because we were using 9 originally. We went down to 8. Now it says in step 2 we are going to estimate the next digit in the quotient. So we saw that we divided the ones and it said to estimate 140 divided by 8 is equal to 2. So we tried 2 ones. I skipped that part because 2 ones was a little bit too large. We noticed that that would be too high, and what we did was we bumped down again and we used 1. So it took exactly 82 shows to sell all of their CDs in that band. So boys and girls, we are going to try 2 more problems together. At the top of the page it says try this. When the difference is equal to or greater than the divisor, we know that the estimate is too low. So we are going to divide 336 divided by 48, and we did our estimate to be 300 divided by 50 is equal to 6. And just to remind everybody, we built that and expanded that estimate from 30 divided by 5 is equal to 6. And also you can see that this is a related to multiplication fact. 6 times 5 is equal to 30. So what we were going to do is we're going to try and see if this actually works out. So we're going to try to use our estimate. We got in our estimate 6 ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a 6 in the ones place. 6 times 48 would give us 288. When we subtract, we would get 6 minus 8 is not possible. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to regroup. And we're going to regroup and we're going to go all the way down and regroup. And we have 2, and we group to 13, that's 12. And then we have 6. So we have 16 minus 8 is 6. And then we have 12 minus 8 is equal to 4. So now we have 48. Now 48 is equal, because 48 is equal to 48, we know the estimate is too low. Because we can still divide this, we know it's not a remainder, so our estimate here was too low. So what we can do is we can go 1 up from here, which would be 7. So 336 divided by 48 would be 7. And we know that works because that way, if we check using multiplication, 8 times 7 is equal to 56. And then we have 4 times 7 is equal to 28 plus 3 group 5 is equal to 33. So we have 336, which is our original dividend. So now we are going to try the estimating digit in the quotient if needed, and then we're going to divide. So what we are going to do is we tried our 7 ones, and we checked with our multiplication. But let's just check with our division as well. So we have 48 divided by 336. Now we have 7 times 48, which we knew, we checked our answer down there, was 336. And we see that there was no remainder, so we know that 7 works for this problem. So boys and girls, what I wanted to do is a common error was when the estimate is too high. So when we look at our problem here, we have 336 divided by 48. In this problem, a student estimated it to be 400 divided by 50, which would give them the answer of 8. So we use that estimate to place the first digit in our quotient. So what that student did was they did 8 times 48, and they got 384. In this case, the student was not able to identify that 384 is actually larger than the dividend, which was 336. We know that we can't subtract that, so that student should have lowered their estimate and used 7 instead. So if we used 7 instead, boys and girls, let's see what we get. So 48 times 7 would give us 336, and we can see that that is the indeed correct answer. So those are just some common things that you might want to consider when adjusting quotients. Remember, pay attention. Your estimate sometimes can be too high or too low. And in either of those situations, your estimate will need to be readjusted so that your quotient is correct in your answer.